I'm not going to be all that cheerful, except to say that in these very difficult times, we are all going to be sideswiped or somewhat damaged by it. I spent the morning initiating a foreclosing on a condo I sold a year ago to a gentleman who's bust now. I made travel arrangements to go down to Kansas City to help my mother divest some stocks because the risk of counterparty risk and selling your stocks through a broker that may be bust or about to go bust is beyond imagination for a lot of people. So these are the kinds of things, it's really quite scary. It's temporary. We will get out of it, but I think it's going to require a massive global governmental backstopping of the entire world's banking system. Nothing less than that is going to do that. Because it's very interdependent, and the banks have interconnected in ways that globalization has brought to us. Capital markets are completely globalized for the first time in history, and this is why we're all in this together. So it's very important that we all understand that, and I hope that Stephen Harper, our Prime Minister, goes on TV and does talk to Canadians about how much relatively better shape Canada is in than certainly the United States and many countries in Europe, and how we do have the financial wherewithal, and we have a banking system that actually works, except for the fact that our banks are also enmeshed and intertwined with a lot of other banks. Whether it's the surety business, whether it's commercial lending, whether it's whatever, trading, merchant banking. So, we're not going to escape unscathed, but it's not going to be anywhere near as scary and difficult as it's going to be for the next level. Wanted to talk very quickly because I think I want to do as much interactivity today as possible. People have questions about what's going on, and maybe I'll be helpful, maybe I won't be. But I did want to talk about my book, which I believe you're all going to get a copy of, and how it shows that Canada has really, in the last generation, 20 years, transformed itself from a highly protectionist, highly economically concentrated, rather parochial economy into a globalized country with a vast democratization of ownership, more so than ever before in history, and a real meritocracy. A real meritocracy. This is a sequel to a book I wrote in 1986 called Who Owns Canada. This is called Who Owns Canada Now. And I'll just give you a couple of figures to explain. Profile 75 billionaires. Some of them aren't billionaires anymore. When the paperback version comes out in a year and a half, there'll be a few dropped from the list, probably. But I'll give you some figures in 86 to 2007, which I think illustrate pretty much what I'm talking about. In 1986, 32 families and 5 conglomerates controlled 40 to 45% of publicly listed companies in the country. That doesn't include, of course, the importance of the big banks in Canada, in the financial sector. Of those families, of those conglomerates, by the way, only one is left. Of those families, 16 did not make the cut this time. And at that time, their profile was that 11 were people that were self-successful and that they had made the money themselves. 5 were immigrants, and there were no females immigrants. I raised the bar from 100 million in 1986 net worth to $1 billion in 2007, and these are the statistics. I have 75 billionaires, and many of them are private money. 39 have never been interviewed by anybody else before. And how did I find these private people? Because I do fundraising for charity. And we have better intel than the investment banks. So